this job. Sometimes, a lot of times, I'm only doing a shower, you know, renovating a shower from the old 13 by 13 tile, 13 by 13 tile. And other times I do a complete bathroom renovation. And the latter being true here, this will be a complete, the only thing I'm not touching is the vanity, but everything else is going. So, jacuzzi tub is going. I get rid of these from time to time. I don't like throwing them out. Sometimes I'll put them on Craigslist so somebody else can use them. But for the most part, people aren't using these anymore. And I don't know why. I really don't. This one even has a little body spray, which is kind of cool. Wand spray, if you will. Another thing too, these are always connected to GFI in the wall over here. And I usually try and keep the GFI right on the wall because for the most part, everybody in the world has an iPhone except me. And for the most part, iPhones die relatively quickly. So yeah, leave the outlet there for your iPhone. But that being said, I'm going to take this out. This will be replaced with a freestanding tub. And I think the fixture, the floor fixture that's going to come up and over, they want in the back. So I'm going to see if I can facilitate that with the plumbing. It should be the center. No, it's off to the side. So the plumbing has to be over here. The center of the new tub will be basically where it's at now. I think this is 60 some odd inches and the new tub is 56 or something. So I'm going to gain a little bit of room. Plus this wall won't be here anymore. It'll go away. Obviously freestanding tub. The shower will be the same footprint because I can't extend it. Got a door right there, so I can't make it larger, which I always try and do. The only way I'm making it larger is going to be this 5 inches or so, plus a couple of inches. We're shy. Remember I said 56 to the 60, so I'll get about 6 inches by about 3, a little less than 3 foot, about 3 foot. It'll be a couple square feet bigger, but it'll be a curb as we have now, and then it'll be another curb going that way. Lower curb, it won't be 3 2x4s, it'll be 2, and then there'll be a 45 cut on the new curb top and all that stuff. Then it'll be one solid pane of glass, and then basically the same door setup that's currently here. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. This is all getting swapped out. It's going to be, ooh, these drains, look at that. You know, one of my little weirdness things, see how the screws are like lined up diagonally? That just bugs me. I don't know why it bugs me so much. Line up that way or line up that way. Anyway, I digress. There's going to be a niche here as I do. If there's a stud in the middle, that will be taken out, and I'll have a 28, 20, somewhere between about 27, 28 long niche by about 12 and a half inches tall. That will be getting a marble, I think it's a 2x8 tile that's going to be, there's a term for it when we're doing it straight, we're not doing staggered or anything, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. The way these tile are set, also it's going to be set with 12x24 going across, and rather than half stagger or 1/3 stagger, it's going to be straight. So it'll be straight row tile, straight row tile, straight row tile. Same on this wall. So it's going to be that way as well. The niche will be over here instead of where it's at currently. It will have, like I said, the 2x8 going straight, nothing fancy. I believe I'm trying to talk him into doing a windowsill type niche. Windowsill meaning it's going to jet out a little bit like the windowsills do. With part of that curb top, it'll jet out a little bit, and I'll do a little cut on both ends. I don't know if they're going to go for that or not. Otherwise, it's going to be chair rail, which is sometimes referred to OG trim pieces. It'll go around marble. It'll look nice. It's going to be a faux marble type of tile, 12x24. And as I said, the niche will also have real 2x8 marble in it. Running bond is what that's called when you're setting the tile with no stagger. Setting the tile with no stagger, it's called running bond. So that's going to be a running bond going all the way up to this point here. I'm going to put a 1x2 to replace that piece of trim up there, because that way I can take my tile all the way up to that 1x2. There's not enough room at the bottom of that trim to make it flush. And then it's going to get Schluter. I'm going to take the tile out to the window here, and then it's going to get Schluter the rest of the way up and over, and then it'll get a little piece of Schluter going up that way. And it'll get a new fixture These are from the 90s, I'm going to say. I've done a couple of these, all-inclusive units. This one's a little different, body sprays in here. Ooh, we used to do a lot of body sprays in the wall. In the wall. I remember doing body sprays. If you look at my avatar up on the top of my channel, you'll see one of those showers I built with body sprays. Anyway, that's going to get swapped out with another contiguous type of, another all-inclusive unit. It's got a diverter, it's got the valve, the mixer valve and all that stuff included in it. And yeah, so that will get swapped out. I think this is only a diverter in the body sprays because there's the mixer right there and the temperature control. And then you got body sprays, the wand and the top thing. So I don't know exactly. I haven't taken it out of the package yet completely, so I'm not sure what it'll look like. Anyway, beyond that, it's going to get, I already talked about the smaller curb going around. It's going to be freestanding bathtub, and then this is getting swapped out with a slate type of darker type of 12 by 24 tile. Same thing. There'll be no stagger, running bond. I think the same direction we're at now. I think so. I forget if we're going to go this way or that way. I'm going to do the best I can not to damage this vanity when I take out the tile, because the vanity was set after the tile. And so yeah, I'm going to go right up to it the best I can. Take my time on that. If I do damage, homeowners already said we'll get a new kick plate, throw it in there, no big deal. Take out the baseboard because that was set after the tile. There'll be new plastic baseboard in here. This is a bidet type toilet. They don't want this anymore. I think they're going to upgrade to a different type of bidet type of toilet. And so that will go away and something will take its place. Bathrooms take a lot longer, obviously, than a shower. Remember this back in the day? When, you know, quarter, this is actually like ½ inch. Remember 1/4 inch grout lines? 1/4 inch grout lines was a thing back in the day because we had a really cheesy tile we would put down, typically dowel tile. Back in the day, dowel tile was really crappy. And so a true tile would not match up. If you look at the edge right here, and then you look at the edge right here, there'd be a big discrepancy, sometimes up to 1/4 inch, you know, like 1/8 of an inch at least. So the only way to remediate the tile not matching up is to make bigger outlines, so you can get the tile to kind of look like it's matching up. But yeah, that was back in the day, back in the early part of, well, the late 90s into the early 2000s. Anyway, there's going to be a black transition strip, marble transition strip here. I think there's 3 of them. Marble transition strip here and a marble transition strip here. So it's going to be, the scheme is going to be like a dark type of tile with the black transition strip, and then the light marble type look tile with a darker mosaic. I think it's the same thing, 2x2. I don't have it yet. They picked one, but it's a really cheesy ceramic, so I'm asking them to take it back. So I'm not sure what that's going to look like. Then we have the we have the white curb tops that's going to go on there. So it's going to be kind of black and white-ish, sort of. But that's it. Typically, in a bathroom, a shower, for example, will take me 8 to 10 days, 8 to 10 working days, right about 7 to 8 days. A full bathroom takes about 10 to 12 days, and this will probably push that 12-day mark because I have to do everything myself. This isn't a bad tile job. This guy did a fairly good job. I don't like the medallions. We used to do those back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Medallions were a thing, and I don't know why they were, but you know, each to his own. And the border, of course, we always did the border back in the day too, and they did a pretty good job. This is pretty flush-ish. It's not too bad. There's a couple little bumps along the way, but overall not too bad. Not too bad at all. There's grout in here. See a little cracking going on, and that's, I don't think, separation. Well, it might be because you got separation in the sheetrock. This is another reason I don't caulk, because this shower is good part of, I think, 10 or 15 years old, and there's not one piece of caulking in here. So by default, I don't do caulking unless there's a reason. Hello, there's a reason. Where else can I look at? I think the wallboard is embedded into the pan because we got a lot of mold and mildew build up there and along the perimeter as well. So So when I do the tear out, I will know for sure. There's also a leak in here downstairs in the pantry. I don't know where the leak's coming from. As a rule, leaks usually emanate from the curb eventually, knee wall, or bench. So we have a knee wall and a curb that could have failed. And the knee wall specifically, shower head is almost always opposite of the knee wall, so it just gets bombarded with water all the time. And if there's grout missing, then it can get inside of there. And more than likely, they didn't waterproof this shower. But my take on it, probably gonna be from the curb. There's some cracking going on there. So now you would do some caulking when there's cracking, but otherwise no. They set this tile after the fact, which is kind of weird. The wall tile should overlap onto the floor tile, and they kind of did it back assward, but overall not bad. These medallions are sticking up. Oh my God. Wow, like a lot. I can't show it. Those medallions are sticking up 1/8 of an inch off of the floor. I wonder how many times they've stubbed their foot on here, sharp edge. Ooh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Yeah, that's it. All I have to say about this one, like I said, about 12 days. There's just a lot of labor involved in taking all of this out. Once things get going and I start building back, it goes a little quicker. But I gotta start with taking all this glass and everything out to the truck and get rid of everything. So day one, and looking forward to the final result. It's gonna be a big difference. Trust me on that. But yeah, day one. I don't like the lighting in here. There's like these lights here. There's nothing up there at all. It's kind of dark. So I'm gonna have to get my drop lights and bring them in here. Anyway, I'm gonna get started. Quit blabbing. So I got this curb apart, and there's some issues going on here. I'm going to talk about them because on my videos I always speak about how, you know, everything fails ankle below. Literally ankle below. Everything fails in a shower ankle below. Walls, walls are never the problem. Niches, people go through a lot of extra work to make sure niches don't fail. Never had a niche fail. Water drips right off the edge of it. You get a little spritz of water inside the niche, and yeah, walls don't fail. Anyway, getting back to this, they used Red Guard, which I'm very happy about, but it failed anyway. You can use all the products in the world, but if you use them incorrectly, or if you do the process incorrectly, you're still going to fail the job. And so I know, I'm 99.999% sure I know what happened on here. Because if you look on here, all the fasteners are rusted. There's a little Red Guard on the top of the fasteners, right? So we know that they use nails, rusted nails now. They used nails into the backer board and then painted Red Guard over it, but they didn't butter it. Because if you can see Red Guard, it means they didn't butter it. So they should have buttered the backer board with some thin set and then painted the thin set, not just the backer board. You see there? See there's backer board with no buttering on it. So they just literally, not that that would have made a whole big of a difference, but I like mine monolithically buttered, so that now the buttering is getting the Red Guard and not necessarily the backer board, because you got to get a couple of 3, maybe 4 coats onto this type of backer board to really get it well. There are too many little pits and too many little, well, this is a smooth side, but on the other side, the rough side, is really hard to get a good coat, even, like I said, 3, 4 coats to get it right. But that's not the problem. The problem started, and I'm going to prove this when I tear the rest of it out. The backer board was inside of the pan, so they brought it all the way down to the pan liner, and then at that point, they went ahead and poured the mortar. So the mortar got wet. I don't know that they waterproofed everything, but the mortar got wet somehow, and then it wicked up into the wall. Same thing with the curb. And you can clearly see that that happened here, because look at the discoloration. This orange color is what happens when you have a lot of water, you know, penetrating through. And of course you can see all the staining, the water staining on the bottom. And of course the darkness on the liner. So what happened is,
they had this board inside of the pan and then poured the pan, and then this wicked up the water. So you see the red guard is above that, but it doesn't matter now because it wicked up and it wicked over and then down into this backer board. And almost certainly that's why these screws here, sorry, nails are rusted. How would the outside nails be rusted? They're not seeing water over here, they're seeing water over here, which means there was a transference of moisture coming through the backer board, and then there's probably a little bit of wood rot on this subfloor, no doubt. And that's a major malfunction, because critical thinking has to kick in. You can't just waterproof things and think, oh, okay, I've got a pat, when the waterproofing doesn't matter once you screwed up this little mistake. And I've had videos where I showed that before. Please, please don't put your backer board inside. A foam board, yes, you can bury your foam board and then pour your mortar, because the foam board's not going to wick up. But the easiest thing is to have your backer board raised. So I raised mine about 3/4 of an inch all the way around, including the curb. So no water can jump up and into and done what happened here. But I'm going to tear this apart and find out more about what's going on here. But I don't have a cameraman, so I have to do this off camera. I'll show it. All right, I didn't tear a lot of stuff out. I didn't have to. Backer board, damp. And I started doing this tear out yesterday and it's still damp. Backer board sitting right on top of the mortar. And the mortar, once we have 4D or 5D video, you can feel what I can feel, which is damp. It's very damp. So this whole shower pan is saturated with water. Don't know why, because if they're using red guard for the curb, why didn't they red guard the pan? But you don't see any red guard on top of the pan. Another mistake. But the main mistake that they made is having the backer board touch the pan. And then that transferred. See the rusty nail? See the rusty nail? You see the rusty nail? It just wicked all the way around. And that's why we have a failure. And that's why we have a leak downstairs. Very, very simple. You know, from 22, 23 years ago when I started seeing this happen. And I keep reiterating over and over. Yeah, I know, guys, it's easier for you to do it this way. It's easier, but don't. Resist the temptation to have your backer board ever touching your pan material. The only thing I got wrong was I thought they embedded the backer board into the pan and then poured the pan, which they didn't do, but they still have it touching. Still wrong. And when I take out the rest of this, I'll see if they just set it on top of the pan material or embedded it. Either which way you're wicking up, and either which way there's probably going to be some little wood rot on these studs, because the backer, yeah, it's so easy to do it right. It's so easy. Look at that. You know what the leak is? The leak right there. This is the bottom of the curb. Saturated. Just saturated. That side, not so much. But that side, a lot. It's always a curb, I'm telling you. Not something I guess at. Just plain lack of critical thinking causes this damage. This is absolutely beautiful. Totally unexpected, but absolutely beautiful. You know what that is? That's a pre-slope. You know how often I run into a pre-slope in Georgia? One time, right now. Well, 2 times. A customer tried to do a pre-slope and did a pretty cruddy job. Pre-slope will stop you from having a wicking and water failure, and all the water is going to go through the pan and into the liner and go out the weep holes. Oh, the weep holes are clogged. Bullshit. I don't cuss on my channel. You can't clog weep holes with mortar. It's sand and cement. That's all it is. You can't clog it. Now, if they put Rex in there, if they put pebbles, something that's porous, yeah, they possibly could have clogged the weep holes. But it's interesting to me, a pre-slope with a failed shower. And it failed because of the reasons I already said. Because they had their wallboard sitting on top. If they put it on the side here and then poured the pan, they would have had a failure probably a year or two ago, a lot quicker. But they set it on top, and it allowed it to wick over to the top of the curb and down. And just the wood rot that I mentioned earlier in the video, exactly. I'm not clairvoyant. I've just seen this time after time after time after time. There's rules, there's TCNA and CTA and blah, 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 and all these rules, and then there's critical thinking. And guys, please use your critical thinking. Throw the rule book away when it doesn't make any sense, right? I'm just saying. And think for yourself. Think like water. If all you do is think like water, you wouldn't have done this. You would have had it raised above so it can't wick. And then I wouldn't be here. The pre-slope is interesting. Very interesting. I'm going to enjoy taking out this shower pan material. And we're going to show the weep holes. And we're going to show all the troughs and all the where the bolts go into and how much area there is for water to egress besides the 4 little weep holes. Sometimes there are 6. Sometimes there are 8 weep holes. But you cannot clog them. With the same material that water gets in here and down to the pan, with the same material, you're going to clog weep holes? Then why isn't it clogging here? Oh, because the holes are smaller. Yeah, but there's other holes. There's other means of egress of water there. You're not relying on 4 holes or 6 holes that are the size of less of an eraser. You're not relying on that alone. But obviously, the pre-slope didn't do what it's supposed to do. Because if it did, all the water would have found its way that way. And never, despite having the backer board sitting on top of the mortar, despite that, the water would have found its way magically down the holes. And this part would be dry, and it's not, it's wet. It is wet. Ish. No, it's still wet. No, it's still wet. It's wet everywhere, just wetter over here. Yeah, interesting. All right, get down to the weep holes. This is a nice pre-pitch. This pre-slope, very nicely done. And I do this cracking here, but other than that, very, very nice. No wire mesh below it either. Very, very nice. But it didn't work. And the weep holes are not clogged. See the weep hole? I vacuumed out a little bit, but only loose stuff would come with my vacuum. Weep hole is not clogged. Weep hole is not clogged. There's only 4 of them on here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a little bit of residue stuff inside 2 of those, but the other ones are clear. Then you have these cutouts. So water, the way it can get in the weep hole, it can still get into the little cutouts where the bolts are at. And yes, the little water will evacuate. Plus, you have all these troughs. I think there was 8 of these troughs that go down to the drain barrel. And the drain barrel will allow water to go down. Plus, look at here. At the very, very bottom, the same trough you have at the top, you have at the bottom. So water can evacuate through those little troughs. And again, those 8 of them. So top, bottom trough, weep holes, and cutouts, plus the drain barrel itself. Water has a lot of way of egress into here. It's not just weep holes alone. And it didn't work. Obviously, the bolts are rusted. So, you know, that's years and years of whatever. Ooh, a lot of garbage in here. So a lot of times this is really hard. This is thin set, which is really stupid. A lot of times what contractors will do, they'll throw their mortar and their thin set down the drain before, you know, the cap goes on, thinking it's okay, and it's not okay. And that's what that is. It shrinks a 2-inch drain. I've seen it like 1.5 inches, or even less. You know, just clogs it like an artery. They didn't have a problem with the drain. It still functioned, did what it's supposed to do. But this is one of the reasons why I always swap out drains. You know, the P-trap. From the P-trap, the way it curves, that gets cut off, thrown away. Because I don't know, if you see it on the side, you know at the bottom of the P-trap is a lot more. But anyway, yeah, dispelling the myth. Dispelling the myth. Arguably, some of this probably clogged the weep holes. Some of this garbage to where water couldn't evacuate. So there is that. I'm just saying.
All right, hour or so later, I got all the mortar, pre-slope, all that stuff is gone. Shower pan liner is gone. Gonna put a fan on this overnight. It's not really bad. It's just stain. It's not quite wood rot yet. And well, my customer's gonna put a fan on it, so he said. I got a couple things to talk about here real quickly, briefly. See all these ridges? Barely collapsed. Like you can even read what the back of the tile said because I didn't back butter. Not back buttering is not a good idea. The idea of back buttering means that you have enough thin set on the back that when you put it onto this troweled out, ridged backer board, and then you push it down and move it back and forth, that all the mortar here and the mortar on the back of your tile mesh. They come together and make good adhesion, which they did a few places, like here and here. But it's very spotty at best. And the troweling is okay. You know, it's not too bad. It's just they missed the boat. So most of the tile was just falling off, like literally in pieces, because it wasn't done right. Not that you would have a big deal with it, but I've seen it worse where, yeah, potentially a tile could fall off the wall, hit you on the head, and yeah, you'd be cussing out your tile guy. Everything came out relatively easily. I got real lucky on this niche because this is just like a empty void where all the ductwork and all that stuff goes. So I didn't have to ruin the back wall because there is none. So that was very, very nice. This is about roughly 2 hours. 2 hours from the time I picked up the hammer to the time that I shot back to everything. I don't like leaving a job messy. So when I come back the next day, everything is clean and ready to get messed up again. I don't know, it's just a weird quirk that I have of leaving everything nice and, yeah, so I'm gonna take these buckets down in my day. Then tomorrow, I'm gonna bust all that out and get this tub out of here. I'm gonna try and put this tub on Craigslist. I hate throwing things away that are functional. Well, the shower thing I threw away. I don't know if anybody would ever want that. And then, oh boy, lots of fun. I get to take out the floor. With any luck, I'm crossing my fingers and my toes and my legs and my eyeballs that they didn't glue and screw. Glue and screw means they screwed it out thin set, pushed the backer board into the thin set, and then screwed on top of that, and then the tile. And if they did that, this is going to be a bear. This is going to take me most of the day to get all this up. For a couple of reasons. One, well, I just mentioned it. Two, this is called, so this board, this cement board, I have no use for. It has these little pieces of foam in it. It doesn't come up in really good chunks, as opposed to Durock. This is, ooh, I just had it in my brain right before I came on camera, and then it just went away. I'll think of it. I'll put it in, I'll put it across the screen if I remember it. Anyway, I stay away from it. I think the last time I used it was probably about 8-9 years ago. And even when you cut it, all these little pieces of foam go flying everywhere. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I don't know what they, I think they used Durock here because this isn't, this shower was redone by somebody else. This is original floor from 1999, I believe, or 2000 or whatever. But this shower was redone at some other point and don't really have a gauge. I'm thinking maybe 10 years ago. Yeah. Perma-base, that's what that's called, perma-base. And I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. So this whole tub is wrapped with it, so it's gonna be a big awful mess. And this is also perma-base, up to about that point, and then it's sheetrock. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this. I'm gonna get started on more of the demo. I don't know if I'm gonna show any of the demo. I'll probably just go right into the prep part, because this is going to be all day demo tomorrow to get the floor off and the walls and all that stuff. And then I'll come back on the prep.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video and you learned something, consider being a Patreon member. $5, $10, $15 a month would help me greatly produce more videos. I make nothing from YouTube at all. If you're going to call me for advice, please donate $50 for 30 minutes. My link to my PayPal and my Patreon account is down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get immediate notifications as soon as I post videos. And thank you very much for your support.